And then we're going to get going here. So let's make our way over to our mats. We're going to start standing today. So make your way over to your mat. And if you're on a really cushy carpet, you might want to not stand on your mat. You might just want to stand on the carpet, because I found that on a cushy carpet, I just felt a little less grounded, and then you have the added cushion of your mat. So it's not a big deal. But what we want to do is begin by really feeling our feet on the floor. So take a little time to recognize the feeling of the inner and outer edges of your heels, the balls of your feet, and the toes of your feet. You might even lift your toes up, spread them out a little bit, and then feel them as they connect to the floor. And then bend your knees just a little bit, so you might feel a little more weight in your feet, and then push down to straighten your legs. So it's as though you're pressing down into the earth with your feet. So once we've established our foundation, just invite your awareness to your body. So just, you could have your eyes open or closed, but you can feel your legs. Feel the area of your pelvis. Feel your upper trunk area. Take a moment and just notice what your shoulders and your arms and your hands feel like. And then just notice the feeling of your neck and your head. When we think about standing, and when we think about standing, we often think about our posture. And we think about our posture, we often kind of stretch ourselves up. And if we pull ourselves up from the neck, that creates a lot of tension in the body. If we think about pushing ourselves up from the ground, that can be much more easy on the body. And if we want to think about lengthening or creating good posture, rather than thinking about lifting the chin, I invite you to think about lifting from the back of your head, like the upper part of the back of your head. So like back here. So if this back of your head is stretching up, then the back of your neck is long and you're not compressing the vertebrae in your neck. So if your eyes are still open, I'm going to invite you to close them. And as we're standing here now, I want you to imagine that the roof of your mouth is softening and broadening. And that relaxation of the roof of the mouth, you might imagine that the roof of the mouth expands all the way back towards the molars and then all the way back towards the base of your skull. And if that area of the roof of the mouth broadening out were to continue out from the base of your skull into the space behind you. So cultivating quite a feeling of ease and spaciousness in the center of the head, in the base of the skull, and behind you. And then as you're here, begin to notice the feeling of your breathing. Notice what it feels like as the breath moves into your body. Let it deepen and let it expand. Notice what it feels like as the breath leaves your body. The lungs, the ribs getting a little more collapsed or softer. So feel the expansiveness of your breath into the ribs and the lungs as you breathe in front, sides, back of the body. Nice full deep breaths. And then the full exhaling, emptying, releasing of breath. Softening, letting go. So just a few more conscious breaths. Nice and full and deep. With a full release of breath. Let the breath empty all the way out. And then after your next exhale, go ahead and open your eyes. We're going to continue to focus on the breathing, but this time as you breathe in, I'd like you to invite your breath more into the upper back. See if you can let your inhale expand into your upper back. And as you exhale, can you soften or knit your low ribs into your belly? So the in-breath is going to expand into your upper back, kind of between your shoulder blades, between your shoulders. And the exhale is an invitation to knit your ribs down, your low ribs into your belly. And what you might find is this breathing into the back and knitting the ribs kind of draws you a little hunched forward. So as we continue this breathing rhythm, could you, as you're breathing into your upper back and knitting your ribs, begin to lift your sternum, right? So even though we're expanding here and kind of contracting here, we're not hunching forward. Okay, so we're going to breathe into the upper back. And then as we exhale, let's lift the arms out and up. So the ribs stay knit on the exhale, but the arms lift. And you can lift the chest a bit here too. So we're going to inhale to lower the arms into the upper back. And exhale, knit the ribs in and down, but lift the heart. So it's kind of different than we normally do. Inhale as the arms go down into the upper back. Exhale, knit the ribs as the arms and the heart lift up. Just one more time like that. Inhale into the upper back. This has the potential to kind of release tension in the upper back. Exhale as you lift and knit. Great. And then release your arms down. Wonderful. All right. So we're going to just start to warm up the feet. So we have your feet about hip distance apart. We're going to warm up the legs actually. We're just going to do heel lifts or heel raises. So you're going to rise up on the balls of the feet. And I'm noticing that my heels are kind of going out to the side. Ideally, can you keep your heels in? So you're just going up and down without your heels kind of splaying out to the side. And then take your arms out as you do this. That'll add for your balance. And then if you can, add some arm circles as you're doing this. So you're lifting, you're rising up, you're waking up the muscles in your ankles and in your calves. And then it's a bit of a coordination challenge. Can you do that movement as you're circling your arms as we begin to warm up the muscles of the shoulders? So we're just doing little circles in one direction as we continue to lift the heels up. And then continuing to lift your heels up, can you change the direction of your circle? So you're just getting the weight of the arms supported by the shoulders and just working into a little bit of range of motion into the shoulder muscles, shoulder joints here. So just a few more times, lifting those heels, circling the arms. And then drop your heels down. Take that circle and with your feet on the floor, just make the circles bigger. Your arms might be starting to feel this. Can you move your arms, but we're not gonna like move the body as we do this, all right? Your body stationary and your arms are circling. And then we're gonna do these big circles in the other direction. So you're probably starting to feel a little fatigue or work in the arms, which is what we're going for here. Getting the blood to flow into those muscles, into those tissues, into those joints. All right, good work. Relax your arms down. And just notice how that feels. When we activate the muscles, there's all this blood flow. And then there's this sense of release when we give them a rest. So notice that feeling. And then take your feet wide. So we're gonna come into warrior stride. So big wide distance between the feet. Let's turn the left foot in, turn the right foot out. Really, again, bend your knees a bit, push your feet down. Really feel that connection to the ground, especially that back foot pushing down as your front knee begins to bend. And then that front knee straightens. So keep your shoulders right over your hips as you do this. We're not leaning over as we do this. We're just bending and straightening and bending and straightening. So your knee might go over your heel or it might go over the middle of your foot, whatever feels good. You go in the same direction as your toes. Couple more like this, just warming up the inner thigh, the hips, the ankles. So as the knee is bent, this time keep it there. From the hips, let's tip the hips over. And then let this bottom arm come to rest on that leg. Take your other arm forward, and we're just gonna lift it up. Open that arm up. Can you create space from your bottom shoulder to your top shoulder, out through this hand, reaching up? Take a breath here. Exhale and release your head to look down. Release your neck. Feel your feet really firmly planted. And I'd like you to push the front foot down to straighten that front leg as you reach up and come on up. Great. Turn your feet forward. Go to the second side. So right foot turns in, left foot turns out, hands on hips. And again, really feel that connection of your feet on the floor as you bend and straighten. There is a tendency for this back foot to lift as the front knee bends. Really keep it pressing down. That'll get you some little more activation in the ankle and in the hip by pressing that foot down. Yeah. You decide how far this knee goes. Knee and toes, same direction. The next time the knee is bent, pause there. Now from the hips, we could tip over with our head, but let's use the hips to tip over and then let this bottom arm rest on the leg. Take the other arm forward and lift it up. Broadness, not only from this bottom shoulder to this top shoulder, but from your one bottom shoulder blade to your top shoulder blade. Long through the back of the neck. Breathe in here. Exhale, release your head to look down. And then can you push your front foot down to straighten that front leg as you rise up? Great. Turn that foot in and bring your feet beneath you. Okay. So this is where we're going to use the wall. So I want you to go to a wall and initially put your hands on the wall. So if you're an arm distance from the wall with your feet beneath you, that's a place to start. And we're just going to bring the chest to the wall and straighten the arms. So you can bring your nose to the wall, touch the nose if you want. So you could be an arm distance from the wall. If you want to add a little more weight, you take your feet a little further back and you bring your nose to the wall and straighten your arms. Your arms are at the height of your shoulders. And you know, if little variations work better in your body, then take those variations. Your hands could be a little wider than your shoulders. It could be a little more wider than your shoulders. Your fingertips might point up. They might point slightly out to the side. You might explore taking your feet closer or further away. So we're just warming up the muscles of the shoulders. Now keep your trunk like one unit. So engage your core muscles a little bit. So you're not like letting your hips drop forward. Your torso is one unit coming into the wall. Let's just do a couple more like this. And then as you straighten, can you put one hand on the wall and just turn to the side? Doesn't matter which hand. There's one arm on the wall. That arm is at the height of the shoulder. You can put your other hand on your hip right now. So we're gonna just kind of bend the elbow and then push away. So you wanna be far enough away that it's a bit of a fall into the wall and then a chance to take your hand off the wall. So you're bending your elbow and then pushing away. And just one more like that. All right, so now one hand on the wall. Let's take the other arm out to the side and we're just gonna stretch away from the wall. So take your hip away from the wall, reach that arm up and over. So you're getting a big long stretch in the side of the body that's not towards the wall, right? Reach, I have a thing here, but reach up and over and breathe into this side of your body. And then come back up and then can you drop your hips closer to the wall? And then take the hips away from the wall as you breathe in and stretch up and over. And then take your hips closer to the wall. Just one more time like that. Up and over. And then toward the wall. Great. All right. As you're still here, can you take the leg that's not closest to the wall and just lift it out to the side? So have your feet, your toes pointing forward, and it's just a lateral raise. So you're not lifting the top of the thigh and the toes to the wall, you're lifting the side of the leg up. So you're starting to work into this hip, into this outer thigh. So just a couple more like that. Lifting your standing leg, you could have a little micro bend in the knee if that feels better. Great. Okay, push away from the wall. So we're going to face the wall again, and we're going to do some push-ups. So again, you might be closer to the wall, you might be further from the wall. I'm noticing that my cursor's on the screen. I'm going to move that off of there. So just a few more push-ups here, standing maybe close or maybe a little further away. So, you know, anytime we do push-ups with our full body weight, that's really a lot of work, a lot of weight. So when we use the wall, we can kind of deload. All right, so whatever hand you leaned on the wall before, you're going to put your other hand on the wall. And you want to be a little more than an arm distance from the wall. So it's you can lean into the wall and then push away. So you lean into the wall, bend your elbow, and then push away. Lean into the wall, bend your elbow, and push away. Just one more like that. Great. All right, so you lean into the wall, take your other arm out, lift that arm up and take your hips away from the wall. So you're stretching into your side waist. Your gaze could be forward. Breathe into that side that's stretching away from the wall. And then let that arm come up and back down and lean your hips toward the wall. And then lean your hips away from the wall as you breathe in and stretch over. And then let that arm come down as your hips go toward the wall. Couple more like that. Inhaling up and over. And exhaling, hips go toward the wall. And one more time. Inhaling up and over. And exhaling, hips toward the wall. And then push away. Nice work. Okay, let's come back to our mats. And we'll start standing at the front of the mat. So making your way to the front of your mat. Just like we did at the beginning of the class, really feel your feet on the floor to stand tall. Maybe think about lifting up from the back of the head. We're going to reach the arms out and up as we breathe in. And we'll exhale and swan dive. So let your knees bend quite a bit here if you have any back issues. Release your back by bending the knees. Let the weight of the arms and the head just relax down. Take your hips a little side to side. Swing your arms a little side to side. See if you can just release any tension in your spine here. With this gentle sway, with a breath into your back body. And a nice full releasing of breath. If it's more comfortable to support this with your hands on your shins, by all means do that. And then sway center. Bend your knees enough that your hands can make their way to the floor. Walk your feet back. Make your way to downward facing dog. As we're here in down dog, let's push firmly down with the fingers, the knuckles, the thumbs. And then with a softness in the knees, take the hips way up and back. Lengthen through your spine. As we do this, as we lengthen and lift the hips, sometimes the shoulders kind of creep in towards each other, or even maybe they're squeezing in towards each other. Can you broaden the space between your shoulder blades? Create some openness there so that the neck and the head can just release freely from between that space. Breathe in and out here. You might be bending the knees a bit. You might be lifting the backs of the thighs. What feels good? You might be moving your hips a bit. Take one more deep breath in and out here. And then let's move towards a plank pose. So shoulders stacking over the wrists, hips lower down, nice long plank or push-up pose. So as we're in this position, we always have the option to drop to knees. So we might have knees down, we might have knees up. We're creating length from knees to ears or from ankles to ears. We could keep the arms straight, or we'll try a little bend in the elbows, elbows pointing back towards the feet. As you bend your elbows, did you let your hips drop? Keep that support for the hips. Keep your core strong here. Take a breath, and then we might drop our knees down as we lower our chest into the floor. So as we bring the chest into the floor, let's slide the heels of the hands back, rotate the chin in, so we're just hovering the nose right off the floor, close to the floor so the chest gets close to the floor. Tops of the feet press down, toes reach back, crown of the head extends forward. As you're here, you can kind of press the heel of your hands back as you start to draw the sternum forward and inhale and lift up to baby cobra. So the toes are reaching back and the heart is pulling forward, and then we'll lower back down. Again, let's inhale up to baby cobra and then lift the hands up. Can you lift your elbows toward the ceiling? Can you hug your elbows in a little bit, activating the muscles in the upper back? And as you're doing that, can you pull your heart forward a little bit more? And then release the hands, release the chest. Hover your head close to the ground. This time, hands stay down. Inhale up to baby cobra initially, and you could stay here or press down and come up higher to cobra. Again, still pulling the heart forward as the heel of the hands press back, and then lowering back down. From here, let's push up to knees, curl the toes under and lift the knees, and then lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. And now let's walk our hands back towards our feet, dropping the heels down, feet beneath you. Bend your knees and lower your hips. Bring your hands to heart. Keep your hips low, lift your chest up. Reach your arms forward so you can sit a little further back into your chair. And then reach your arms up alongside your ears. Push down into your feet and legs. Inhale and rise up, reach up. Exhale, arms down at your side. Great. Let's start back here. Inhale and reach the arms out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward. Walk your hands forward now. Walk out into plank position. As you make your way to plank position, you could be on your knees. We'll bend the elbows back towards the heels without letting the hips drop. We'll take a breath here. And then we could drop to knees. We'll lower ourselves all the way down. Finding length here in prone mountain. Let's inhale up to baby cobra or cobra. And exhale back down. We can push up to knees, or we could just lift right up to plank. Let's lift up and back to down dog. We'll breathe in and out here. Again, walk your hands back towards your feet, fold it over your legs. This time, just draw your belly in and roll yourself up. So you're just kind of unfurling your spine, letting your spine roll up. Eventually your head comes up. Again, we're gonna reach the arms out and up. Exhale and swan dive forward, kind of rolling down, walking the hands out again into a plank position. Knees could be up, knees could be down. Hold here for a breath. Get long and strong. Try a little bend in your elbows, or maybe a little deeper bend in your elbows without releasing the hips. Take a breath here. Exhale and lower all the way down. Great, let's come up onto forearms. So we're gonna get our elbow right beneath our shoulder. We can measure fingertip to elbow, elbow to fingertip. And then we're gonna slice down with the forearms, with the wrists, with the hands to lift the chest. We'll curl the toes under. We're gonna lift the pelvis up. We could be on our knees here, or we could lift the knees. We could also alternate one knee down and then the other knee down. We're gonna press back through the heels as we lengthen through the crown. If there's strain in your low back, engage your belly, maybe lift your hips a little bit higher. If you need a break, take a break. We're gonna be here for a little bit longer, so really focus on your breathing. It might become a little jagged, and that's okay. but see if you can make the effort to smooth it out a little bit. Really focus on your breath. Let it support you. We'll be here for another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Great job. 2, 1, and lower down. Nice work. Let your chest come down. Elbows wide. You can rest your head on your hands. You could have your forehead on your hands, or you could turn your head to the side if that's more comfortable. So upper body relax now. Let's press the tops of the feet down. Really push them down so the backs of the legs fire. Then press the front of the hips down to lift the legs up. So strong legs, reaching out through the toes, lifting up. Lift, lift, lift. Long and lifted. Now, can you turn your heels in and bring your heels in towards each other? They may not touch, but you're kind of squeezing the inner part of the leg. Separate your legs just about as wide as your hips. Pull your heels in towards each other. They're still lifted. Separate again. Heels turn in, toes a little out. Pull the heels in toward the midline. Separate, and then relax the legs down. Nice work. All right, hover your head. Bring your arms to your side. Back of the hands on the floor, palms to the ceiling. Nice and long, toes to crown. One more time, press the hips down to lift the legs. Reach back through the fingertips, pull your heart forward, lift your chest. So you're nice and long here. And could you lift the legs or lift the chest a bit more? Palms lift up a bit. So try not to let your chin go forward. Keep the back of your neck long. Connect with your breath here. Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, release down. Nice work. Bring your hands next to chest. Push back to knees. We're going to take the hips all the way back and sit back into child's pose. So sit back on your heels. Let your body round over your legs. Your arms might be out in front with your forehead on the floor. Your arms might be crossed with your forehead on your arms. If you want to move your hips a little side to side, feel free. Notice how you're feeling as you're here. Notice what maybe a little movement might offer you, or a little movement of breath. Check in here. How are you feeling? Are you offering yourself what you need this morning? This is our time just for ourselves. So maybe we want to move in a certain way. Maybe we just want to breathe deeply, embrace each moment. Take one more breath here. Then with your next inhale, lift your head up, reach your arms way out in front, come onto knees, curl your toes under, and come up and back again to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. And again, we're going to walk our hands back towards our feet. We'll plant the heels. Feet are hip distance apart. We're going to bend the knees and lower the hips. Keep the hips low. Bring your hands to heart. Lift your chest up. Reach your arms forward. So maybe you can sit back a little bit more. Then reach your arms up. Push into your feet and legs. Inhale and rise up, reach up. And exhale, release your arms down to your side. Nice job. Let's pick up our weights now. So if you have weights, we typically use 3 to 5 pound weights when we're together. You could probably take, if you have 2 variations, you might take the heavier ones with what we're going to be doing. If you don't have weights, I'll show you what we're going to do. If you have weights, just bring your hands by your shoulders. We're going to do squats. So when we squat, we want our feet hip distance apart, maybe a slight angle out, or your toes could be forward, whatever is more comfortable for your body. So you might play around with it a little bit. But the important thing is when we come down into the squat, that the knees and the toes are going in the same direction. So the hips lower down, and then as we come up, we're just going to push up with the weight. So we're just sitting back into a squat, pushing up with the weight. If you don't have the weights, I want you to have your hands here and I want you to push the heel of your hands up. So your hands are gonna come down and you're just gonna push up with the heel of your hands. So you're sitting back and you're pushing up. So maybe you have the weights and you're pushing up. You're just deciding how deep you can go. So depending on your knees, your ankles, your hips, you might go deeper, you might not go as deep. So just be sure to breathe. We can inhale as we come up, exhale as we come down. Now if you want a little deeper challenge, as you come up, lift one knee and then sit into your squat and lift the other knee and sit into your squat. Just a little balance opportunity, a little more work here if you lift the knee. So let's do a few more. Sitting down, pressing up, sitting down. We'll do one more on each leg. Sit and lift, sit and lift. Great job. Lower your arms. We're going to put the weights down. So now we have a fairly complicated sequence. And it's something we haven't done before. So if you have a cushion for kneeling, I want you to put it over your mat. And, you know, just something to cushion your knee. So we're going to use the width of the mat as something to step over. So sometimes we'll do a lunge. We'll step back and we'll lunge. And we're going to step back over the mat. So you need enough room to step over your mat and then be able to lunge. Okay? And we're going to have the blanket there because eventually we're going to come down on the knee. And so you might want a little cushion. So I want you initially to just kind of explore standing in front of your mat. You might still be setting up. Standing in front of your mat, just notice how it would be to step over with one leg behind and then step back, right? So that's the movement we're going to be making. We're going to be stepping over the short line of the mat and then stepping back. So once we're here, we're starting with our feet beneath us. And we can just have our hands on our hips. I want you, it doesn't matter which leg you start with, step back, just kind of touch your toe, and then come back. So same leg, we're not lunging yet, we're just stepping over and stepping back. Stepping over and stepping back. So we're gonna get some work in this supporting leg here as we step over and step back. So you can continue to tap back in front, or we're going to start to lift the knee. So we're going to tap back and we're going to lift the knee. Tap back and lift the knee. Tap back. So you could just be tapping in, or you're stepping back and lifting the knee. So a few more like this. You might need to put your foot down every once in a while. All right. So it's really probably starting to feel some work in the standing leg. Take a break if you need one. All right, so now we're gonna step back and then I want you to lunge. So both knees are gonna bend. Back knee bends down, front knee bends. And then push up, and then you can tap or lift a knee. Step back and lunge, push up, tap or lift a knee. Step back, lunge, push up, tap or lift a knee. Couple more like this. Lunge, tap or lift a knee. Step back, lunge, tap or lift a knee, and again. All right, last thing like this, step back. We're gonna go just lunge up and down. So one knee bends down, the other knee bends. Down and up. Your back knee might get really close to the mat. You could even let it touch if you want to go that far, or you decide how far you're lunging up and down. We're going to do a few more like this. You're trying not to lean forward as you do this, so it's not leaning forward, it's just down and up. Okay, the next time we go down, and if you have to put your hands on the floor, you can, we're gonna come all the way down on that back knee. And so this is where we might want some cushion. So now we're gonna ask this back hip to do some work. And this is just a challenging kind of fun thing. So this front leg, can you lift your heel? And then could you balance on the back knee? So kind of lift the foot up. And you'll be wobbly. You'll eventually have to put your foot down. But we're just kind of exploring our ability to do this. So this back leg is trying to provide the support as we try and lift the front leg up. Great. Maybe one more effort. Maybe you're doing better than me. Probably you are. All right. So this front leg, take the heel slightly forward of the knee. You can put your hand on the front knee. Now, push the back knee down and let your hips move forward. So I'll turn a little bit so you can see. So this back knee is pushing down. You're going to start to feel a stretch in this back thigh as this front knee moves forward. And it's an active stretch because you're pushing the back knee into the floor. So we're just kind of letting this front knee come forward, however much feels appropriate for you this morning, and then push back. Try to keep a little tone in your belly so you're not dumping into your low back as the front knee bends forward and then pushes back. So this back knee and shin are pressing down as the front knee moves forward and pushes back. This time as the front knee moves forward, the back knee is pressing down. Could you lift your sternum and take the same arm as the back leg and reach it up? Reach it up, stretch it up. The back knee is pressing down, the arm is reaching up, maybe even stretch over to the side just a bit. Breathe, and then let that arm come down. Push the weight onto the back knee. Now this leg that was in front, take it out to the side. It's straight out to the side, you're on the inner edge of that foot. We're gonna work the side waist a little bit. We're gonna lean over so the bottom hand kind of reaches toward the floor and then straighten back up, and maybe you could lean towards the leg. So we're just gonna lean over, and maybe this fingertip can come down and then come up and lean kind of down alongside the leg. Lean over and touch, come on up and down the leg. This time lean over, all the way over till your hand comes down, and then lift this leg up. And then bring this leg down, come up and lean over. So we're coming all the way over, hand comes down, leg comes up, and then leg goes down as we tip over. All right, this time lean over, put your hand on the floor, lift this leg, press out through your heel, working along the outer line of the leg here into the hip. This arm could come up or it could be on your hip. Take that extended leg now, lower it down, inner line of the foot touches, and lift the leg up. Press out through your heel. Lower it down, touch, lift, press out through your heel. A few more like this. Lower down, touch, lift, press out through your heel. Lower down, touch, lift, press out through your heel. One more time, lower down, touch, lift, press out through your heel. This time the leg's gonna come down. We're gonna rise up, bring that hand down. Great. Take this leg, bring it in front of you. Curl the back toes under, and we're gonna push ourselves up and step the back foot in. All right, we're gonna do that whole thing on the other leg. So, feet are hip distance apart. We're gonna take the other leg and step behind it. Was the leg that was out to the side. So find that distance, get used to that, and then step over, and you can just tap initially. And you could take your arms and kind of move like this. That might make it a little easier. Or your hands can be on your hips. So you're tapping back and touching in, stepping over and touching in, stepping back and over and touching in. Couple more like that. Just getting the hang of this. And then you can continue to tap in, or as you come in, you could lift the knee. So this is my weaker hip. So I might add the arm movement to try and help me with this. Tap back and lift the knee. Tap back and lift the knee. So the second side is going to be harder because we worked this leg on the first side. So you may have noticed that. So we're tapping back, and we might tap forward or lift the knee, tap back and lift the knee. This time we're going to go back, feet are hip distance, and we're going to lunge. And then we're going to straighten, and we can tap in or we can lift the knee. So we're going to go back, we're going to lunge, push up, and tap or lift the knee. Go back, lunge, push up, come in. Go back, lunge, straighten, and lift the knee. Couple more. Back, lunge, straighten, lift the knee. Two more. Back, lunge, straighten, lift the knee. Back, lunge, straighten, lift the knee. All right, this time we're going to go back, and we're going to just lunge down and up. Down and up, down and up. You decide how far down that back knee goes. Back knee goes down, front knee bends, shoulders are over the hips, down and up. A few more times. Some people might touch the back knee if your knees allow. Nice work. All right, so now you might need to bring your hands to the floor. We're going to come all the way down onto that back knee and unfurl the back foot. I'll just turn a little sideways again. So, well, first, we're going to lift the heel. You could take your arms out to your side for just balance. And then could you lift the foot and just try and balance here. And you're going to be wobbly, and that's okay. It's just the work of getting this thigh and hip to support this. The core kind of engages as well. It's just kind of a fun thing to play around with. So we'll do it a couple more efforts here with varying degrees of success. And after this next effort, we'll let that foot come down. Now let your heel go maybe a little forward of your knee. Push your back knee and shin down to create action in this thigh. And then let this knee go forward. Now some people just let the belly drop forward, and it can strain the low back. So a little tone in your belly here as you're pushing the back knee down and letting the front knee move forward. So a nice active stretch into this thigh, into this hip flexor. Just notice how this feels for you in your body. Most of us do quite a bit of sitting all day long. So we are probably very tight here. So you might not be ready for a super deep stretch, or you might really be craving it and really going for it. So just notice, really bring your awareness to what you're experiencing here. With control, with the back knee and shin pressing down, with some tone in the belly. Playing around with this. The next time the weight comes onto that front foot, we're going to take the same arm as the leg that's back and reach it up. So the knee is pressing down, the arm is lifting up. We can even stretch over a bit and breathe into that side waist. And then let the arm come down, push the weight back. Now this foot that's in front, we're going to take it out to the side. And initially we're just going to lean over, touch a fingertip, and then come up and slide, lean over the other way. So the inner edge of the foot is on the floor. We're going to lean over and touch, come up, lean over. We're just going to work in the waist here. Lean over. This time, bring your hand down and then come up and lean over. This time, as we come over and bring the hand down, we're going to lift this leg up. And then the leg comes down. We're going to come up and lean over. Do that again. Lean over, bottom hand comes down, other leg lifts up, leg comes down, and we come up and lean over. This time we'll stay down. So hand comes down, leg lifts up. Hand could be on your hip or arm could be reaching up. Take that extended leg, press out through the heel. Lower the foot down, inner line of the foot touches the floor. Lift the leg up, press out through the heel. Lower the leg down, inner line of the foot touches the floor. Lift it up. Couple more like that. Lower down. As you lift, press out, flex your foot, press out through your heel. Lower and touch. Inhale, press. Lower and touch. Inhale, press. One more time. Lower down, touch, lift, press out through the heel. This time the foot comes down, we'll push with this bottom arm to bring ourselves up. Nice work. All right, knees come beneath us. Let's come around. And I'm going to suggest if you have a cushion, you might want to sit on this cushion because we're going to do boat pose. And boat pose can put a lot of weight on your tailbone. And for me personally, that's rather uncomfortable. So I think I'll face you guys here. So you might be sitting on your mat, you might be sitting on a cushion. So we're gonna do, I think I'll go this way. We're gonna do a progression here. So progression level 1, we're just gonna have our feet on the floor. We're gonna grab onto the knees and try and lift the heart up. Yeah, so a lot of the work of holding ourselves up is the arms, right? So if we let go of the arms, then we have to hold ourselves up. We're mostly using hip flexors here, but some core. Yeah, great. Bring your arms around, grab the backs of your legs. You could be here. Again, you can always come back to any level before. Let's try lifting one leg, try lifting the other leg. And could we stay lifted here? So rather than dropping back, we're gonna try and stay lifted here. And again, now it's a little more work to be here. The arms are doing a lot of the work. Can we let go of the arms and hold here? Yeah. So you might stay here. You might grab on. Could you straighten your legs? And as you straighten the legs, you could hold on or you could try letting go. So lots of variations. You might be here. You might be holding on. You might have bent knees, all kinds of options. Let's hold for a couple more breaths, trying to keep the heart lifted, the arms reaching out. And then just back off a level. So if your legs are straight, bend your knees or grab on. Take another breath. Then we're going to let the feet come down and we're going to straighten the legs. Okay, so if you're on a cushion, now would be the time to remove the cushion. And we're going to come all the way down onto our backs. We're going to place our feet on the floor. Setting up for bridge pose now. So heels are in close, feet are hip distance apart, arms are at our side. We're going to push into the feet now. And I want you to get your low ribs relaxed or pressing down into the floor. So we're not necessarily yet tipping the pelvis up, but we're letting the bottom of the low ribs feel connected to the floor. So then with your low ribs connected, can you start to curl up just your lower back off the floor? So your ribs are still connected. You're just lifting your lumbar spine and then release your lumbar spine. And then your sacrum will find the floor, let everything relax. Do that again. Low ribs stay down as you curl and just lift your lumbar spine. You still have your low ribs down. And then release and unfurl your low back. So your sacrum is down. You come into that neutral, a little bit of curve in your low back. All right, so starting the same way, low ribs are down. You're lifting just your lumbar spine, your low back. But then go ahead and lift up more. Start to let the part of your spine where your ribs attach, your thoracic spine, lift up. As you're lifting up, bring the weight onto the shoulders. Decide how high you want to go. Push down with your feet. Feel like you're sending your shins forward, your knees forward as your hips lift up. Go to the height that feels right for you. Take a breath at the top. And then let yourself slowly, gradually roll down Get that nice spinal articulation in the thoracic spine, continuing into the lumbar spine. Once you're all the way down, relax and take a breath. Let's do that again. Low ribs are on the floor as the lumbar spine curls up. And then when you reach where the low ribs attach, let the rest of the spine lift up. Come on up as high as you like. Shins and knees press forward, hips lift up, take a breath. And then as you exhale, lower yourself down, nice and easy, rolling down, releasing all the way out. So now we're not going to lift up as high. We're gonna put our heels on the floor and just lift the rest of the foot up. So just your heels are on the floor. I want you to lift your hips up into a low bridge and just take your knees apart. And then bring your knees in as you lower down. So you're lifting up and taking the knees apart. Knees come in, lower down. So it's just kind of like we're starting to work into the hips a little more. So we lift up and the knees open, and then we lower down, knees come in. Up and open, and then lower down. So you're gonna feel your outer glutes starting to work with this a little bit. Pressing the heels down, lifting the hips, knees go apart, and then knees come in as you lower down. Just do a few more like this. Out and down. Lift up, knees go out, knees come in, lower down, up, knees go out, knees come in, lower down. Couple more like this. And down, up and out, in and down. Great. Okay. Now, if you have some light weights, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you about this earlier, you could grab your light weights. They're not at all necessary for this next one, but if you had them, you might want to use them. So we'll still be lying on our back, but you might want your light weights. So we're going to be lying on our back, and I'm going to have you take your arms out like this on the floor. So like cactus arms. So lie, and if you have your weights, you could have the weights in your hand as you're in cactus arms. So some people's shoulders are pretty restricted and it's really hard to be all the way out with the back of the hands on the floor. With the weights, it might allow that a little more, but it might be too much for your shoulders. So the weights are totally optional. So if you're here, you've got your hand, your arms are at a 90-degree angle, and you might have the weight in your hand helping to rest as much as you can the back of your shoulders, the back of your arm on the floor. Again, some people that's really uncomfortable, and you're always welcome to not even do these arms. You could always just have your arms straight out to your side if that's more comfortable. So we might have these cactus arms. Can we put our feet together now and drop the knees open into a lying bound angle? All right, so this can feel nice for some of us. This might be a bit much for some people's hips. So if you don't want to drop all the way open, you can keep your knees a little higher up. So from here, I want you to lift your arms a little bit off the floor. You still have that 90-degree angle, and we're going to bring the arms in towards each other. So you're coming into a right angle with your fists facing and your forearms facing each other, and then your arms are going to drop out, but we're not going to let them come all the way down. So we're going to lift the arms up, and at the same time, bring your knees together, and then open everything out. So you're just lifting the knees up, and they don't have to touch, but they're coming towards each other. Same thing with your arms. Your arms don't touch. They just come kind of straight up from your shoulders. So we're coming up and together, and we're opening out to the side. So we're working the muscles in the chest and the inner arms to lift this arm position, and we're working the inner thighs a bit here. So knees coming in, thighs drawing in, arms coming in. We can inhale to open, exhale as we come up against gravity. If you're using the weights and that's getting to be a bit much, you can do this without the weights. You're still lifting against gravity. So we're going to do a few more of these. If this is bothering your low back to be doing this with your legs, you might just take your feet off the floor and just bring the knees in and out with your feet off the floor. That would be another variation or option here. So let's do just two more. opening out and coming up, opening out and lifting up. Great. All right, we're gonna set the weights down if we have the weights, and we're gonna take our feet off the floor and hug the knees into chest. Nice work. You guys did a great job today. Just sway your knees a little bit side to side. We're gonna finish up with a nice lying side twist. So roll to one side, probably roll towards the camera. And as you're on your side here, stack your knees, stack your hands. So have one arm out on the floor in front, other hand palm to palm, fingertip to fingertip. If you want to slide a blanket under your head, you can, or a pillow. Now bring your knees up close to your elbows. So you're in a tight little clamshell here. And then take your top arm up toward the ceiling, reach it back behind you, rolling your chest and your gaze up toward the ceiling. Try to keep your knees stacked, so your hips will be stacked, and then your upper body is twisting and opening toward the ceiling. Breathe in and out here, deeply. Feel that breath move in and down. Feel the breath emptying all the way out. Nice full deep breath. One more time, in and out. Big release of breath here. Let it empty. Then take the arm from behind, bring it up, and bring it all the way down on your bottom hand. Then we're going to roll all the way onto the back and roll all the way to the other side. I'm just going to stay facing you guys. So your other arm is out on the floor. Your knees come in, they're stacked. Your hands are together, palm to palm. Then bring the knees up close to your elbows. So you're in your little clamshell. And then take that top arm, reach it up, and then reach it back behind you, rolling your chest and your gaze up toward the ceiling. Hips are stacked, knees are stacked. Let's breathe deeply here now. Deep breath in and down. Full emptying, releasing of breath. You can blow it out here. Get it to empty fully. Do that a couple more times. Feel the breath moving in your body. The breath creates movement in the viscera, in the organs. And that's what we want here. We want to move things around. And with the exhale, kind of release tension. Anywhere in the middle of the body here. And then that arm that's behind can come back up and come back down. And we're going to start to transition to our final relaxation. So we're gonna end up lying down on our back. You might find something to put under your head, like a pillow. You might wanna put on a layer if it's chilly where you are. You might wanna put on your socks, cover up with a blanket. You might wanna put a little support under your knees. So there's a little bend in the knees, which can provide a little support for your low back. A lot of us, our back is more comfortable with a little support under the knees. So you're finding your way down to a comfortable lying down position. And as you lie down, we're just going to let all these muscles that we've worked today have an opportunity to relax and release. Feel the body, the weight of the body, relaxing into the floor, releasing, letting go. Slow, gradual ease and relaxation. In the limbs, arms and legs. in the hips and belly, in the chest and back, shoulders, softening, relaxing, releasing. Let all the facial muscles relax as the head rests back. Enjoy the peaceful easiness of relaxation. So you're very welcome to continue lying back. I didn't leave a whole lot of time for our relaxation, but it is 10 o'clock. So if you need to finish up and move along, that's fine. I have a reading. I read this last Wednesday, so if you were here, you've heard that, but it's really lovely from Dana Falls. This is what I have to say to you. Do not let the day slip through your fingers, but live it fully. Now, this breath, this glimpse of newly risen sun catapulting you into full awareness. Time is precious. Minutes disappearing like water into sand, unless you choose to pay attention. Since you do not know the number of your days, treat each as if it is your last. Be that compassionate with yourself, that open and loving to others, that determined to give what is yours to give and to let in the energy and wonder of this world. If you are tempted by complacency to miss the gift of twin fawns in the yard or a towhee scratching at the feeder, choose to be awake instead. Experience everything, writing, relating, eating, doing all the necessary little tasks of life as if for the first time, pushing nothing aside as unimportant. You have received these same instructions many times before. This time, take them into your soul. For if you choose to live this way, you will be rich beyond measure, grateful beyond words, and the day of your death will arrive with no regrets. So that is our challenge or our inspiration for today, to live it fully. And I appreciate you all making time this morning to practice, to focus on offering this compassionate practice to yourself, building strength, resiliency, mobility. So stay as long as you like on the floor, make your way up when you're ready. If you have to go, go ahead. We'll see you next time. If you want to come back and chat a little while, you're welcome to do that. And